Half of my life has been spent waiting for this show to come out. No, that's not hyperbole. In all my 23 years of existence, 12 have been spent, after watching The Mask of Zorro in 2010, waiting for this character to make his inevitable return. Over the years since the last Zorro project in the US, The Legend of Zorro released, the character would only survive through supplementary material, such as books, animation, comics, and the occasional mediocre video game. And while many fans were satiated by said releases, especially the godlike Dynamite Comics run, and the unique and bold American Mythology Comics run, many others, including myself, yearned for Zorro to return to the screen, outside the rare animated appearance. I myself was only 4 years old by the time The Legend of Zorro came out, beginning the longest hiatus for the character that he's ever faced. I spent my entire childhood and teenage years not knowing a version of the character I could call my own, and for many other Zoomers, Zorro was only known as the guy from the pirate anime, with the Curse of Capistrano himself fading away into obscurity.
La venganza es personal. La justicia es para todos. ¿Crees que volviste para vengar la muerte de tu padre? No, volviste para decidir el destino de California.
But, as of January 19th, 2024, Secuoya Studios, a television company hailing from Spain, has created the first ever live-action Zorro in basically forever. I've been following the production of this show since the beginning, all the way back in late 2021. God, that feels like ages ago. And seeing this project progress to this point was just such a treat. So many other Zorro projects have started and ended production without ever seeing the light of day. Well, this show has been created in the background, and it's inspiring to see this little Zorro show being produced by a relatively new company and defy the odds and bring the masked hero back into the spotlight. With all that out of the way, I'd like to talk about the show itself and how Secuoya Studios revived a legend. I'm going to start with a lot more of the superficial stuff. I'll be saving stuff like narrative choices for last, but for now I'll focus a lot more on the surface level of the show. While I adore the classics, the old Disney show, the silent film, and the Saturday morning cartoon, most of the Zorros made back then will not appeal to a modern audience. And I'm not just talking about the social themes, those actually tend to age decently for stories of their time. No, I mean the fights and swashbuckling. Because a lot of the duels and battles of the Zorros of old, while impressive for their time, probably won't resonate with a lot of the younger audiences. Lots of awkward fixed cameras, cutting away mid-fight, and while a lot of the cinematography holds up well, it doesn't have the same oomph that modern action flicks tend to have. The only exceptions were the Antonio Banderas movies, but even then they sometimes show their age. Yes, I know that's a super hot take to say, and it's not a slight against the film, but even classics can age. New Zorro show? Oh, it just feels just right from a Zoomer perspective. The fights in the show are so well choreographed and feel grounded, but also retain a larger-than-life swashbuckling feel. While there aren't a large amount of one-on-one sword duels like in previous Zorro stories, there is a large variety of different fights, with Zorro fighting some swordsmen, lots of gunmen, Nalen with her tomahawks and spear, and even in one episode fighting a platoon's worth of Chinese bodyguards with his fists in a fight that resembles the Netflix Daredevil show or The Raid, more than your classic stereotypical Zorro story. Obviously, Diego de la Vega uses his classic rapier and combat along with his whip, but this version of him also adds throwing knives to his arsenal, which come in handy when an enemy's just a little too far from him. Well, since Diego's not the only Zorro, now Len also has a completely different fighting style than him. European swashbuckling fares are replaced with agile, fleet-footed combat with twin tomahawks, a two-headed spear, and a particularly nasty knife that she uses mostly against the defenseless Diego.
Hey, Apple! What? Knife?
Instead of straightforward combat, she practically slides around like a serpent, reflecting the native spirit that she used to represent before she spurned it. Even the original Zorro that we only see a bit of, Pullman Quaker, has his own fighting style, dual-wielding a tomahawk and a rapier, bridging both the worlds of the Californios and the natives. No matter who we see, however, it is always with the most snappy, clean, and intense choreography we've seen in the Zorro franchise. Most of it was done by the actors themselves too, with stunt actors only doing the more dangerous action sequences. Both Zorro actors Miguel Bernadou and Dalia Giacowadl trained extensively for their roles, with Miguel Bernadou even saying, "We did 90 to 95% of all the stunts, and they stopped being fun 5 months in." There are even lots of really cool gunplay moments, which you rarely see in Zorro stories outside the old serials. Lolita is an absolute beast with a rifle, and seeing her quickscope people like nobody's business was really cool. And while I have an issue with Samael that I'll talk about later, him blasting people with a Colt Patterson like Captain Love is really entertaining. I also love the diversity of guns too. Not only do we get a revolver a couple years before Samuel Colt even invented it, but we also get a variety of double-barreled pistols, and Lolita even gains a needle rifle near the end of the show. It's not just the fights and weapons that rock too, it's also the... God, I suck at segues. Whoever the cinematography crew were, they must have been paid an insane amount because they absolutely locked in for filming. Most, if not all of the filming for the show was done in the Spanish Canary Islands, a place with no shortage of beautiful locations, and God, it shows. There's multiple times a location is set up that just blows my mind. Los Angeles looks so absolutely cool, bustling with life from all various cultures that inhabited at the time. Not to mention the various set pieces that are set up throughout the season. The De La Vega Hacienda looks so beautiful and homely, and despite being smaller than previous versions, it definitely looks like a place a noble Don would live. Lolita's Hacienda, La Perla, is also super cool too, and the battle that happens on it kicks ass due to the space and verticality both indoors and outdoors. My personal favorite location, however, is the absolutely stunning 19th century New York. And while we don't see a lot of it, what we can see just feels so amazing. And with how the show ends, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more of it.